The planet Varelia was dying. Once its forests had shimmered blue under crystal skies, and rivers had danced like silver ribbons across the land. Now the forests were nothing but twisted gray remnants, and the rivers had turned to shallow pools of bitter water. The skies, once clear and radiant, were choked with dust and ash, giving the horizon a dull, suffocating glow. The Varelians, tall, slender beings with silver skin and eyes like polished quartz, moved slowly through their crumbling cities. Their steps were careful, not from fear but from exhaustion. Their world was fading, and they had no answers left. For centuries, the Varelians had tried to survive. They built underground shelters to escape the worsening storms, planted artificial crops that struggled to survive in poisoned soil, and rationed water as though it were liquid gold. Each year, their leaders sent messages into the stars, signals of desperation that begged for help. Every year, the stars remained silent. Some of the young Varelians had grown up believing the universe had forgotten them. In the capital city of Calith, the people gathered in the central plaza, their faces etched with worry. The council of elders stood in a circle, their silver robes reflecting the dim light of the red sky. "We cannot continue like this," said Elder Lyra, her voice trembling but steady. "Our children do not know the meaning of hope. We must prepare for the end." Her words fell like stones into the hollow silence of the crowd. For generations, the Varelians had prayed to the stars, hoping that some great power would hear their cries. Now those prayers felt meaningless. Dust storms swept across the city as if the planet itself were rejecting its own children. Lyra walked to the edge of the plaza, looking up at the thick clouds above. "Even the stars have turned away," she whispered. "We are alone." And yet, deep within that stormy sky, a light appeared. It started as a small flickering dot, barely noticeable among the ash-filled clouds. The people at first ignored it, assuming it was a falling star or a trick of the eye. But the light grew larger, brighter, cutting through the darkness like a blade. It did not fall straight to the ground like a meteor. Instead, it slowed, almost hovering, then descended gracefully toward the planet's surface. The Varelians gasped. They had never seen anything like it. Even the elders, who had lived through centuries of hardship, felt a spark of something they had not felt in decades: hope. When the glowing ships finally touched the ground, the air trembled. Dust and ash swirled violently, but the light from the ships held it back, creating a calm in the storm. The ships were enormous, dark gray and scarred by battle. Their edges shimmered with energy, a faint blue glow that seemed alive. As the hatches opened, figures began to emerge. They were tall and strong, wearing heavy armor that gleamed even in the dim light. Their helmets hid their faces, but the Varelians could feel their presence: determination, courage, and something else. Something rare in the galaxy: humanity. A single figure stepped forward, removing her helmet to reveal her face. Captain Mira Holt looked at the assembled Varelians with tired, determined eyes. "We received your signal," she said, her voice clear and firm. "We came as fast as we could." The Varelians fell silent. Some could not believe what they were seeing. The legends had spoken of beings from the sky who could save dying worlds, but the humans before them were real. They were not gods or mythical heroes. They were flesh and blood, exhausted and battered, yet unbroken. Holt and her team began scanning the environment. The readings were grim. The air was almost unbreathable, the water poisoned, the soil infertile. Every system on the planet screamed of decay and neglect. But Holt did not falter. "We can fix this," she said to her second-in-command, Lieutenant Dax Rayner. "It won't be easy, but we can bring this world back." The Varelians were cautious. They had been betrayed by hope before. "You cannot restore what has been lost," said Elder Lyra, her voice heavy with sorrow. "Our world has lived centuries longer than any of yours. It is dying." "It will not live again," Holt smiled faintly. "You don't know humans very well," she replied. "We are not quick to give up," and she was not lying. Within hours, the humans had set up massive drones that could clean the air, water purifiers that shimmered with energy, and mobile generators that glowed with a faint blue light. They moved tirelessly, working in the storms that had defeated generations of Varelians. The people of Calith watched in awe. The humans did not complain, did not slow their pace. Even when dust storms tore through the city, when machines broke down or energy cells ran low, they adapted and continued. It was as if the human determination itself powered their technology. Days passed, and slowly the first signs of life returned. Small sprouts emerged from the poisoned soil. The air began to clear, and faint smells of earth and water returned. For the first time in decades, the children of Varelia laughed as they ran through the streets, chasing the floating drones that looked like glowing insects. Yet not everything was peaceful. Holt and her team noticed strange readings beneath the surface. Deep beneath the city and the old ruins of the Varelians' ancestors, energy pulsed in ways that did not make sense. It was steady, rhythmic like a heartbeat, and it seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. One evening, as the Varelians celebrated a clear sky after a particularly violent dust storm, Holt and her engineers gathered in the central plaza. "This is not just a dying planet," she said quietly, showing the readings on her portable screen. "Something beneath the surface is still alive, and it could undo everything we are trying to do." Elder Lyra stepped closer, her eyes narrowing. "The ancestors spoke of this," she said. "They built great machines to control the life of the planet. But centuries ago, those machines failed. We thought they were gone." "They are not gone," Holt said, "and we need to understand them if we want Varelia to survive." The Varelians looked worried. "If you go into the ruins, you may never return," another elder warned. "The machines are dangerous. They destroyed the world once before." Holt looked at the city, at the children playing among the machines, at the people who had not seen sunlight in decades. "We didn't come here to watch this world die," she said. "We came to make sure it lives." Over the next few days, the humans prepared for an expedition underground. They built protective suits, mapped tunnels with drones, and gathered both human and Varelian engineers to help. Even the children watched with excitement, imagining a journey to the forgotten depths of their planet. Finally, the day came. Holt led a small team through the narrow tunnels that had not been used for centuries. The air was thick, the walls covered with strange symbols etched into the metal and stone. The deeper they went, the stronger the pulses became. It was as if the planet itself was trying to speak to them. And then, at the heart of the ruins, they found it. A vast, glowing machine, half buried in stone, humming with power. It was enormous, stretching hundreds of meters across the cavern. Energy flowed through it in glowing streams, moving like veins through the body of the planet. "It's alive," whispered Dax. "Yes," Holt said, her eyes wide. "And it's hungry." The humans approached carefully. The machine's hum grew louder as if it sensed their presence. Holt placed her hand on one of the glowing conduits. Sparks shot across the floor, but she held steady. "We can fix this," she said. "We just need to stabilize it, give it the energy it needs to function safely." Back on the surface, the Varelians waited, unaware of the full danger beneath their feet. They could see the humans moving tirelessly, fixing the air, purifying the water, planting life. They felt hope returning, fragile but real. For the first time in generations, the people of Varelia dared to believe in the impossible. They dared to hope that the humans who had fallen from the sky were more than strangers. They were the spark that might save the world. And deep beneath the surface, the machine waited, watching, alive, and ready to challenge anyone who dared try to awaken it. Holt and her team did not know it yet, but their journey had only just begun. The planet was not just dying. It was hiding secrets older than anyone could imagine. And the humans, with their relentless courage and unyielding will, were about to face the greatest challenge of their lives. The Varelians looked up at the sky, where the humans' ships rested, their engines humming softly. They could see their reflections in the metal hulls, and for the first time, they did not feel fear. The humans had fallen from the sky, and for the first time in centuries, they had brought hope. The glow from the ancient machine deep beneath Varelia pulsed steadily, filling the cavern with a soft golden light. Captain Mira Holt and her team had spent days preparing for this moment, gathering both human and Varelian engineers to stabilize the enormous device. Every pulse seemed alive, like the heartbeat of the planet itself, and Holt felt a mixture of awe and unease. "Keep the stabilizers online," she said to Dax Rayner, her second in command. "If it overloads, the entire planet could collapse." Dax nodded, sweat glistening on his forehead. "Understood, Captain. I've never seen anything like this." The machine was enormous, its surface etched with symbols and conduits of glowing energy. Sparks leapt from one line to another as if the machine were testing their courage. Holt approached it, her gloved hands brushing over the energy streams. A shiver ran down her spine. "We need to work with it," she murmured. "Not against it." The Varelian scholars who had accompanied them studied the symbols on the machine. This was the life core of our ancestors, one explained. It powered the planet, controlled the weather, the soil, even the water. But long ago it consumed too much energy and nearly destroyed itself. It has been dormant, waiting. Or perhaps forgiving. Holt looked at the scholars. Then it wants to live. And so do we. The team set to work, humans and Varelians side by side. They calibrated the stabilizers, rerouted power, and synchronized their technology with the machine's ancient systems. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the ground shook beneath their feet. Every mistake could be fatal, but no one faltered. Every movement was precise, careful, yet filled with determination. Above ground, the Varelians watched anxiously as the humans had disappeared into the depths. Children huddled with their parents, whispering prayers, hoping the people who had brought light to their world would not be lost. The humans' ships waited silently, their engines softly glowing in readiness to assist if needed. Back underground, Holt and her team faced the first real test. One of the conduits overloaded, sending arcs of energy toward the cavern walls. Sparks danced dangerously close to the team. Holt lunged forward, pressing her hands against the conduit to stabilize it. Pain shot through her suit, but she held firm. "Captain!" Dax shouted.
"Step back."
"I can't," Holt replied, gritting her teeth. "If I step back, it could destroy everything." The Varelian engineers worked in unison, adjusting energy flows and redirecting the surges. Slowly, the machine responded. Its chaotic energy streams calmed. The humming grew steady and even. Holt removed her hands, breathing heavily but relieved. "It's stabilizing," she said. "We're doing it." As the hours passed, the team made progress. The energy pulses became smoother, more harmonious. The ancient machine, once chaotic and dangerous, began to hum like a living being in perfect rhythm. Holt realized the machine wasn't just a device. It was the planet itself, its guardian, its heart, and its memory. Suddenly, the ground trembled violently. Dust and stones rained from the cavern ceiling, and an eerie, low-frequency hum filled the air. Holt looked at the readings. The machine was responding, but not as they expected. "It's communicating," whispered one of the Varelian scholars. "It's alive. It's asking us to trust it." Holt nodded. "Then we trust it. Everything we've done has led to this moment. Let's finish it." The humans and Varelians synchronized their work, allowing the machine to accept energy from both their technology and their willpower. Sparks of golden light spread throughout the cavern, illuminating the ancient symbols etched into the walls. Holt could feel a warmth spreading from the machine as if it recognized the human's intent. Above ground, a strange change occurred. The sky, once red and choking with dust, began to clear. Tiny patches of blue appeared, and the faint smell of rain drifted through the streets. The Varelians stepped outside, shielding their eyes as sunlight pierced the clouds for the first time in decades. Their hearts swelled with hope. Underground, the final moments of the operation were tense. The machine's energy surged wildly, threatening to overwhelm the stabilizers. Holt moved to the central core, placing both hands on the glowing heart of the device. She could feel the energy flowing through her suit, through her body, almost like a connection. "Now everyone," she shouted. "Focus your energy, synchronize with the machine." Every engineer, human and Varelian alike, closed their eyes and concentrated. Sparks leapt and energy danced around them. The hum of the machine grew into a harmonious symphony, vibrating with life and light. And then, with a brilliant surge, the chaos ended. The cavern fell silent. A golden light filled every corner, warm and steady. The machine had accepted their efforts. It was stable, alive, whole. Holt stepped back, exhausted but triumphant. Dax placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did it," he said softly. "No," Holt replied, looking around at her team and the Varelians who had helped. "We did it together, humans and Varelians." Above ground, the transformation was undeniable. Rivers of clear water flowed once more. The poisoned soil began to show signs of life, green shoots breaking through. The once gray forests shimmered faintly with renewed color. The air, thick for so long, was now fresh and breathable. Birds, long absent, sang tentative songs in the newly bright sky. Children ran through the streets laughing freely, their joy echoing across the cities. Elder Lyra stood with the people of Calith, tears in her eyes. "It is real," she whispered. "The world, it lives again." The human ships which had brought them to this dying planet prepared to lift off. Holt gathered her team for one last look at Varelia. You have a chance now, she said to the Varelians. A chance to protect your world. Remember what you have learned and keep it safe. That is how the stars remain alive. The Varelians nodded, faces filled with gratitude. We will never forget, Lyra said. Your courage has saved us. We will honor it. Holt and her team boarded their ships. As the engines hummed and the vessels lifted from the surface, the Varelians watched the humans rise into the sky. But this time they did not feel fear or despair. They felt pride and hope. For the first time in generations, they understood that life could survive even in the darkest moments. The humans had fallen from the sky, battered and tired, yet unbroken. They had faced impossible odds, embraced danger, and refused to give up. And in doing so, they had reminded an entire world what it meant to fight for life, to fight for hope, to fight for the impossible. The sky of Varelia shone with a brilliance it had not known in centuries. Rivers, forests, and cities flourished under the returning light. Children laughed, adults smiled, and the elders wept quietly, humbled by the humans' sacrifice and determination. Holt watched from the command deck as Varelia grew stronger, its life force pulsing beneath the surface like a heart that had been given a second chance. She felt a deep satisfaction, knowing that the world she had saved would continue, not because of her alone, but because the Varelians had learned to fight for their own future. The machines that had once threatened the planet now worked in harmony with it. The humans' technology had merged with the ancient Varelian systems, creating a balance that promised growth and stability for centuries to come. Let's go home, Dax said, standing beside Holt. Holt nodded, her eyes still on the brightening horizon. Yes, but remember this, Dax. Every world we save teaches us something about ourselves. Humanity has a place in the stars, and not as conquerors, but as protectors. As the human ships vanished into the heavens, the Varelians looked up and whispered a quiet promise. They would care for their world. They would honor the humans who had fallen from the sky and brought hope with them. And they would tell their children of the day the universe answered their prayers not with gods, but with humans who refused to give up. Varelia would live. The forests would grow, rivers would run, and the sky would shine once more. And in the hearts of every Varelian, a lesson burned brighter than the sun. Even when all hope is lost, courage and determination can fall from the sky and bring life with them. The planet had been saved, not by destiny, not by chance, but by humans. And in that act, the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, as if applauding the courage of a species that never gave up, even when all hope had been lost. Varelia was alive, and humanity's legend had begun.